But we don't show prep, so so he had no idea.
I just barely make it in.
I'm sure you can tell, but we don't show.
I mean, let's put the cards down on the table here.
Miami Hurricanes, yeah. You know the name already. It's Mercy. Ha ha. It's a 6-Ring Kane show. Can't forget the name though. Got Jazz, Blue, Vision, DJ break the game code. Ain't no changing them, ain't no breaking them. Real put alive from the Hard Rock Stadium. Ball 14 for the orange and green. We see the 6-Ring champs. It's more than a dream. This is life on the field. Beyond 100 yards, a hurricane that's never still put a damage to your squad. The 6-Ring Kane show. The 6-Ring Kane show. The 6 Rings Kane show. You know.
What's wrong with us? Seriously.
What's wrong with us? We're Miami Hurricanes fans.
Welcome to the 6 Rings Kane Show, a show dedicated to Miami Hurricane sports, featuring the legendary Larry Bluestein, Jazz Santana, Vish, and Danny Gillette. Let's go Canes.
What's up? What's going on, everybody?
How's it going, Jazz?
Hey, another week. Another
on
portal.
time as usual. Yeah, we got a lot of portal talk today, right? And the NFL draft is this weekend, so maybe we'll finish off with some NFL draft stuff. And some of the Canes are obviously, some guys might go a little earlier than expected. Some might go a little later than expected. So we'll see. We'll talk a little bit about that. But listen, be honest with you, right? The biggest talk right now, the talk of the town is this transfer portal, this thing called the transfer portal. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it, but it's, for lack of a better word, it's a shit show. And so, YouTube can ding us for that or not. I really don't care. Point is that it's a madhouse. It's a Wild Wild West. And just trying to keep up with it. It's crazy. Like, honestly, like I was talking to some people yesterday and they started saying Caleb Spencer, this, that, and the other. I'm like, what? Caleb Spencer? Oh yeah, he's the transfer portal? Jesus, I didn't even know. Like, it's just wild. It's wild, man, what's going on. So got a lot of things to discuss, but to be quite honest, I think the biggest one will kind of start off right off the bat. The biggest one that we've heard today is former blue chipper Jaden Wayne. Edge guy, our edge defensive end, has decided to throw his name in the portal. And, there's a lot of talk and a lot of, hearsay about him, his old man and Mario having some issues and whatnot. We won't speculate on any of that. But the bottom line is, from all the talks and all the reports are saying he just basically got outplayed by some of the other guys. Right. And if you're not going to get a lot of playing time, this is the year of the transfer portal. Who cares about getting developed and working your way to the top? You're just going to go somewhere else that you can get play right away. And that's obviously what a lot of players are doing. And a lot of players are coming in that are doing the same thing. So it's not, I'm not kind of being biased or talking trash one way or the other. It's just the nature of the business now. Someone mentioned this is the NFL now. This is the minor leagues. Right, where people are getting cut to make room for cap space, right, for other NIL signings. So it's just wild out there, man. Blue, I kind of want to get your take on Jaden Wayne and just like what it looks like Miami is doing as a whole in this transfer portal. I know we've got some names that we're going to kind of talk about that are coming in that are being crystal balled to Miami already, and some other big names that we've been talking about that all the Canes fans know about also. But kind of your take on Jaden Wayne, what he could have potentially meant to the program. Or is it a huge loss? Is it kind of like, it is what it is, or is it like it didn't really matter? He wasn't going to get a lot of playing time. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I don't think it is what it is, because remember what, six short months ago, Jason Taylor was heaping praise on him.
Yeah.
So he's going to be very special. He's reminds himself of, him when he was, coming out of high school, and work ethic, length, athleticism. So, yeah, I was surprised.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised too. DJ, your thoughts on Jaden Wayne?
I remember writing an article for 5 Reasons actually when he committed, and that was 2 years ago now. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's just crazy how things come full circle. And when he committed, I really liked his explosiveness. I liked how he was able to rush the passer and how he was able to get to the quarterback. So I'm not going to say it's an end of the world type of loss, but it's also nothing to scoff at either. He's a very good football player. I do think he'll definitely find a home somewhere, but we are deep at edge, and that has to be taken into account as well. So I'm not just gonna say he's no longer at Miami. He wasn't that good anyway, because I still believe he is a really good football player. It just didn't work out, and like you said at the top of the show, it's now free agency where if this guy's not going to get playing time and you want to cut him to make room for a better player at some other spot, then that's what you do. And that's the nature of the business. And it's important to remember for all fan bases as they overreact on Twitter that every single program is going through this. It's not Miami exclusive. It's not, this program exclusive. It's just the nature of college football now. And I think it's important to keep that in perspective as well.
Good point. That's a good point. A lot of really good players, or what we thought were big time big players, are going to enter the transfer portal for everybody. So it is a bit of a surprise. But by the way, first of all, shout out to Danny Berry and Pimp Down on the chat. Yeah, I mean, but the bottom line is, Vish, you got to get down to a certain number to bring in some of the new guys, some of the, not only the transfer portal guys, but some of the recruits that haven't, that aren't on campus yet. Justin Scott, Booker Pickett, I can name a whole bunch of guys, right? Some of the St. Thomas guys, Chance Williams, Ryan Mack, and so on and so forth. You got some guys that are going to be joining this program now in the summer. You got to make some room for them. And I mean, look, from all the reports that are out there, Cole McConaughey and Marquise Lightfoot and those guys are playing just as good, if not better, than Jaden Wayne right now. So you plan for the future with those guys. You continue to develop those guys, and you hope that they come in and they do their thing. So I know Campbell was another one that apparently was getting high praise as well in the spring, who was a transfer from last year. So it is what it is, Vish, in the sense that, these things are going to happen, right? Guys, big time prospects are going to leave, big time prospects are going to come in, right? I mean, your take on Jaden Wayne and kind of this whole process that Miami's going through now.
Yeah, well, as DJ says, it's not just Miami going through it. It is college football now. This is or college athletics. Actually, today, they officially ratified the rule change that now there is no penalty for transferring multiple times. So you're going to see even more of it. Because before, if you transferred a second time, you'd have to sit out.
Right.
Now you don't have to do that. So these kids can theoretically go year to year and switch. So they're all basically running on 1-year contracts. So Jazz, to your point, you got to constantly re-recruit them. And out of all that, you just listed a lot of talented kids. Guaranteed at least one of them's in the portal next year at this time. That's just the way it is. I mean, that's the way it is at this point, right? So because they're not all going to play as much as they want. And that's the reality of it. There's only 11 guys on the field, and the door is open for everyone to go in out of your school and into another one. So it's the new reality of it. As fans, you got to just wrap your head around. We, as DJ said, he can remember writing about when Jaden Wayne committed. This whole thing of like, oh, I remember them when they were a junior in high school all the way through they graduated as senior. And things kind of dead. And And I know everyone's, upset about it. I don't know that it's worse. It's just a new normal. I mean, we're all sitting here putting all of our hopes on a kid at quarterback that Washington State's like, that's our guy. Right? I mean, we're all playing this game. These are the rules. And I don't think Tampa's giving back their Super Bowl they got for signing Tom Brady, right? Even though he's clearly a Patriots guy.
Right.
But they got Super Bowl out of him, right? I mean, this is the way the sport is now. There's transfer kids everywhere. And as fans just gotta mentally adjust to the fact that 1 year, like, this guy's great. I'm so excited for him. Next year he's gone. And we saw a lot of guys, like, we've been doing the show long enough now where we have guys that we're excited. We spun up sometimes breaking news shows and them committed, come here for a year, don't really play transfer.
We've been doing this for 4 years now.
I know, it's crazy, man.
A full recruiting cycle.
It's just, from a fan's perspective, because at the end of the day, we like to kind of cater to the fans also, right? This is not kind of like breaking news, always the media, oh my God, blah, blah, right? Like, we're kind of like, we kind of bleed orange and green, some of us, right? Some of us are diehard fans that we've been with the team for, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. We've been supporting them. And so, Blue, you can kind of speak to this. Vish, you can kind of speak to this. I know, DJ, you like college football as a whole, but, you like the Canes and whatnot. But the guys that have been here, that have seen the Andre Johnsons of the world, the Tober Baines, I'm going to go back to those teams, right? The George, the quarterbacks, the Testaverdes and the Kozars and this one. I mean, you name them, right? The Dan Morgans and the Vilmas and the DJ Williams and Ken Dorsey's, and the list goes on and on and on and on. Santana Moss, and I mean, whatever, right? I mean, I can name you 6 million guys. And some of those guys were with us for 2, 3, 4 years, 5 years. So you got to really connect with them on that level. And you got to fall in love with these teams and fall in love with these players. It's kind of weird now because it's not the same anymore. Because you fall in love with Cam Ward, you got him for 1 year, he's gone now, right? Now, the difference is if he wins you a natty, right? Or if he wins 11 games, 12 games, now he sticks in your head a little bit longer. Well, he took us to the Sugar Bowl. He took us to the college football playoffs, right? And so where there's other players that maybe didn't do that, right? Devin Hester didn't take us anywhere. But God knows we remember Devin Hester because he was the most electric guy on the football field every time he stepped on it, right? But we had him for 3 or 4 years. And then obviously now he's a Hall of Famer and whatnot. But, Andre Johnson, and Sean Taylor and Ed Reed, and these guys, you can you grew up with them. You didn't have them just for 1 year. So the fan is different now too, because the fan is okay with 1 year, you're gone, because it's what have you done for me lately? It's forget about, the development of the players and seeing him grow and seeing DJ Williams be a fullback here and a running back, and all of a sudden, he's a linebacker the next year and he's an All-American and kicking ass. And it's like, wow. I remember when DJ Williams was a running back. You know what I mean? I remember when John Beeson came in as a fullback or a safety, and now he's another one of the best linebackers to play. So it's like you don't really get that anymore, because if James Williams was here, and we didn't let him play safety because we wanted him at linebacker at edge, he's gone. Thankfully, he stayed and he had a great career here as a safety. But like, does that affect you? And I'll throw this to you, Vish, because you love this team more than anybody that I can possibly think of. Do those things kind of affect you as a fan? Kind of be able to really, I don't want to say fall in love with this team. We're already in love with this team. It's and it sucks sometimes, right? But like to kind of connect and really be as cliche and as corny as it sounds, one with this team. You know what I'm trying to get at?
Yeah, I think it's a 2-part answer. I think it generally, it's a little bit. I mean, we used to get attached to kids as they were freshmen, watch them grow, and that's just not the way the game's going to be anymore. With that said, there will be some that do that, and those, you become now more attached to, right? I mean, we've seen it more in basketball, where like Isaiah Wong was here for 4 years, and none of the other guys in that team were that made the Final Four, and it puts him in. And obviously, he was the best player of the team and won SEC Player of the Year. There's a whole other thing going on there, but it does put him in a different category. And so you know, we're gonna get closer to certain players because now it's not normal for them to stick it out. And like if Emory Williams is a starting quarterback here in 2 years, like that's a rarity at this point. Not that he can't be, just that they would stick it out, you know, back up Cam Ward after backing up Tyler Van Dyke after having a bad injury and still being at the same school is going to be more rare. On the other hand, I mean, it's just different, but I don't think it's necessarily worse because it does, you know, it gives the players more power, and frankly, it treats them more like adults, which they are. And, you know, some of them are going to make bad decisions and have to live with that responsibility. I'm not even talking about the one specifically, you know, leaving Miami. I'm just talking about generally, as Blue has pointed out multiple times, a lot more kids enter the portal than there are spots for them to go to. Yep. And, you know, this is a life lesson for them. But in general, you know, I don't know that it was definitely more stable for us. Less content, though. We do a show, but
That's true.
but it was more stable. But I don't know that it was good that a kid kind of felt held hostage at a school where he wasn't going to play. That you know, he didn't really have a prospects at because he didn't want to like sit out a year to try and transfer. So I don't think that's a good situation either. Yeah, we'll adjust to it, and what's going to end up happening is, you know, this thing will settle down and we'll get used to it. When the game kicks off against Florida and on Labor Day, no one's going to give a crap. And I think we cheer for the uniforms during the season, and that's the reality of it. Like, there's been a lot of talk about it. This is going to ruin the sport. Record numbers. People are still watching you. And in a way, in college sports, it's almost different because at best you're getting someone for 4 years anyway. So it's not like they're going to be here for 20. Right. So, you know, at the end of the day, you're going to cheer for the U on the helmet, whoever's wearing it, and that's the reality of it. So it's probably a little bit overblown. It's hard to adjust. People don't like change. There's a lot of things changing quickly. Yeah, and quickly, right? Because I mean, the entire way that the NCAA enforced their rules over the years has been illegal. I've been blunt about that. Like, you cannot restrict commerce like this. Is the United States. We are a capitalist society, whether people like that or not. You cannot restrict commerce like that just because you decided to. We have antitrust laws in this country, and that's why everyone's like, why don't they regulate what they do? They are trying to hold on by their fingernails, and eventually it's going to slip out to power by just repeatedly moving back, because any of these lawsuits hit court, they're dead. Right. So just keep pulling back. And that's why they got rid of you have to sit out if you transfer more than once rule, because they got challenged on it in court. They didn't have a leg to stand on, so they wiped it. Rather than go to court and lose a judgment that would basically kneecap them entirely. So eventually they'll settle down, though, because the market will decide. A lot of this is NIL money driven. There's no reason to hide that. But eventually they're going to realize, hey, I'm overpaying for this third string linebacker. I'm not doing that anymore, right? Not everyone is like if Cam Ward, we obviously paid him a hefty amount of money to come here, and if we have a great season, great. If we stink, how willing are we to pay the next quarterback that much? And that's not even a reflection on how he might play. Like, eventually these boosters have essentially infinite money compared to what they're paying out in NIL. They're big dollar amounts for normal people like us, not for them. But they got to get a return on their investment. For them, that's in terms of wins. And not everyone's going to win. And eventually that's what's going to regulate the market down. They're going to be like, we're going to win 6 to 8 games anyway. I'm not paying for this crap, right? I mean, that's where it's going to end up. So it'll all settle down. We're still in like the infancy of this. So you get deep breath. The sport will be fine. Everything's going to be okay.
And I think going, to your initial point of, is this are we not going to fall in love with teams and players and things like that? I think we'll start to, appreciate the process. I think regular fans will start to fall in love like we do in terms of, we got this player here in the transfer portal. He really helped us. Mario recruited him and he did well in sealing the deal. And then this player came from the transfer portal and he played a big role. So I think while we might not see the continuity and, the kind of the affection for the players for staying 3 to 4 years, I think fans will fall more in love with the process and what it took to get there. And if Miami starts winning, and they are successful, I think fans will learn to appreciate, in this transfer portal era, that they were able to put together a team that was successful, despite, so many moving parts. I think it's just going to be a different sort of love.
Shout out to Gus and Fresh in the chat. What's going on, fellas? I know you got a lot of things here, Fresh, and we'll definitely get to all that stuff. So I want to kind of go down the line of the list of some of the guys that have entered the portal. And just kind of give me the guy that you think might have had the most impact this year, and then the guy that might have had the least. Obviously, the other big news is Jared Harrison Hunt has entered the transfer portal today, also earlier in the day. So I was thinking he was going to start next to CJ Clark. Now we're talking about the guy that was potentially going to start. He's entering the transfer portal. It's crazy, man. It's wild. That just shows me guys like Marley Cook and guys like Ahmad Moten and what's his name? Justin, I think it is. Josh Horton. Those guys have really been playing really well. And then you're bringing in Justin Scott and you're bringing in Artavius Jones. And so you've got a lot of talent there, and you might go get another guy, right? Obviously, CJ Clark, I didn't even mention him because we know he's going to start on one side. But so you've got a lot of talent there, and you're going to bring in probably another transfer portal guy there. But Blue, I'm going to name a couple of guys. Yeah, I just said JHH, Jared Harrison Hunt, Caleb Spencer, Jaden Wayne. We mentioned Nigel Leak, Jakari Brown. Obviously, we got 3 running backs in the portal. That's crazy, right? Don Chaney, Citizen, Trevante Citizen, and Henry Parrish. 2 have already committed. Chaney is at Louisville. Parrish committed today back to Ole Miss. Shocker there, right? Logan Sagapolu, kind of a surprise where he went. He committed to Washington. So he's going back to the Pacific Northwest where he's from, playing at Oregon. Now he's at Washington. A big time school, but again, they've taken a little bit of a hit after playing in the national championship with so many transfers. Obviously, we all know Mish Powell is here now, transfer from Washington back down this way. You got some wide receivers that entered the portal too, right? Kobe Young, Brashard Smith, obviously TVD is another one. Even your boy Corey Flagg, Blue. So a lot of names have entered the portal. We probably still need to see at least 5 or 6 more to be able to get to the number where we need to be at based off of incoming guys, portal guys, and maybe a couple more. So any of those names not only surprise you, but some guys that you think maybe could have had a big impact here, Blue?
I said last week, I thought Nigel Lee Kelly over time, I thought he would be pretty special. I thought Wayne the same thing. Like I wrote earlier, Parrish is Parrish. He's going to run for 550, 3-4 touchdowns. He'll be hurt for 5 games. So I think he's never been healthy for a season. And now he's going to a league that's a lot better and the games every week he's going to have to face. So I don't think he was. Caleb Spencer never really got on track. Probably will end up going back to Oklahoma where he should have been in the first place.
I think so. I think the thing with Spencer, Blue, is he never really had a position, tweener, right? Yeah,
but he was a tweener,
so he had a hard time catching. He was okay at safety and okay at linebacker. He never was really good at any one position. I think that's what kind of hurt him. I think if he goes to Oklahoma or wherever he goes and they say you're going to be a safety here, that's it. Now he can kind of develop and own his skills at safety. Or you're going to come in and be an outside linebacker here. This is what you're going to do. Then he can probably develop and be a pretty decent guy at that position. So I think that's the biggest thing with him.
Citizen kind of surprised me in the fact that he never really, he never did anything yet.
Right. Yeah.
So how could you judge him? I'm sure that all these guys are leaving. I'm sure Mario sat down with all of them.
Oh, I'm sure. And
and just said, listen, I'll be honest with you. If you have another place, this is where you sit with us. You know, right now we have 3 other edge guys that, you know, we feel real confident about. I think way back in January, I think I told you, I said this spring is going to be crazy good because it's going to be like NFL training camp. You're going to win positions. And a lot of people, oh, no, everybody knows who's. Yeah. No, you didn't. You see, what happened was, I mean, and then you walk by the area where the injured guys are, you know, the Jonathan Dennises and people like that. And you say to yourself, you know what, if that's where they're going to spend their time, it's not going to help them on the field. So, right. You know, you got to kind of make, you know, the decision. In a lot of ways, it is like the NFL. You know, I mean, I told you the story when Charlie Partridge told me, he goes, you know, I didn't sign up for this. I didn't sign up for this part of it. If I'm going to do it, I might as well go make $2 million, $3 million in the NFL. And that's what he did. So yep. I think you're going to lose a lot of OG coaches over the next couple of years because they
don't want to deal with it.
You know,
for that,
they're just not used to this.
Yeah.
They're just not used to this inconsistency of keeping kids, and they're not, you know, you look at Nick Saban, you think he didn't want to get involved with the transfer portal or NIL because that's not him. He's old school. Yeah. You're either going to play for us or get your ass out of town, you know, and there's going to be a lot of guys like that. You know, the old school guys couldn't coach now because why would they want to? And even the young guys will. Huh?
It'll drive them crazy.
Well, it's going to wear thin on the younger guys too. You know, listen, you know, you look at a guy, you know, up at Florida, Billy's going to get, you know, he's going to lose all these kids. And then all of a sudden he goes, is this stuff worth it? No. You know, I don't think so. You know, Norvell's still got a few years. If he keeps winning, he'll have that opportunity to go to that next level, and you weigh it. And, you know, I mean,
I think there's going to be a few. I think there's going to be a few guys, and this is what's going to happen, right? Just like how it is now, or even, you know, in the past 10, 20 years, how Alabama just kind of, you know, it was Alabama and Georgia and Clemson, you know, some of these, just a couple of schools that just figured it out, man. They figured it out, and they were able to compete and at a high level and kick everybody's ass. I think the same thing's going to happen, like you mentioned, bro. A lot of these coaches are not going to be able to hack this year in and year out. But there's going to be a few coaches, 5, 10 coaches, that are going to be able to do this because they're psychopaths, right? They're going to be able to just do this, love doing this, a.k.a. Cristobal, maybe even or Norvell, right? These guys got it down. They understand. They know how to do this. They love doing this for some reason. This is their shtick, right? This is their niche, is doing it like this. And those are the guys that are going to be successful. And you might
they're getting paid handsomely to do it.
Well, so. yeah, no kidding, right? That helps too. But right, those are the guys, the top 5, top 10 guys that are going to figure it out, and you're going to see those schools consistently be able to.
Yeah, the rest of the guys will be a revolving chair, and
this was supposed to get parity and make this, you know, make this about every school now being able to compete. I think the same thing's going to happen. You bring up a great point, Blue. Coaches are going to get tired of it. They're not going to be able to do it because it's going to wear them out. They're not going to be able to keep up with it. And this is what's going to happen. You're going to get 5 or 10 sociopaths that are going to be able to do this without a problem all the time, every year, day in and day out. And those are the guys that are going to win. It's going to happen. And we'll see who it is.
And the days of the Xavier Restrepos are over.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I don't know if
you're not going to get a guy coming in there for 4 years.
I still think there will be some. I think
some.
I think a lot of
this they got to be performers. They just can't be blended guys.
Well, it's partially because again, part of this, as much as like we're talking about the coaches, you know, and them having to deal with it. A lot of this is them doing it. Some of these kids are getting pushed out. It's not all.
Yep.
It's not all like them just cut like so. Like this is the way they're conducting business.
Yeah.
And you know what? They got to learn how to manage people differently. They're used to having almost like. You mentioned Saban didn't want to put up with it because he's used to being a dictator.
Yep.
You know, welcome to real business in the world, like where your employees can quit whenever the hell they want. And you've got to keep them happy, sometimes with money, sometimes with showing appreciation, you know, presenting them like, hey, in business, it's not abnormal to say what's the 5-year growth for me, what's the 10-year growth for me. Obviously, this is a truncated timeline, but before it was just once they signed on sign day, you essentially owned them. It's a different skill set, and like Blue said, some of them are gonna be like, I didn't sign up for this, and then others will adjust to it. Though this is nothing. There's nothing revolutionary here. It's just we're not used to it in this context. Most businesses, multi-billion-dollar corporations, are run on people that can walk out the door whenever they want and go get another high-paying job somewhere else, wherever they want, and they make it work. It'll settle down. But the coaches that want to just be my way or the highway, like Blue said, they're going to struggle.
Yep.
Because there's player empowerment now. But there's other ways, even outside of money, to show. Again, you take someone like Jaden Wayne. We don't know exactly what the push was for him to leave. There's a lot of competition. Jazz laid out all the names. Those are heavy hitters at the same position. And obviously Bane and Mesidor are starting at the edge. That's
or even Elijah Alston.
yeah. So you're sitting here with there's a lot of. So I'm sure that has something to do with it. And Blue, you talked about this earlier, where you called correctly, hey, this spring practice is tryouts, and they're going to be a depth chart, and we were further down the depth chart, but also the names that are surprising people. Those are people with the best options, right? Like Harrison Hunt's been a starter here. I think he started 20 plus games. He can get paid and start at a good program. Yeah. So he's going to go. Jaden Wayne is still like DJ said, this is not a reflection on his quality as a player. He played a lot as a freshman. We expect him to play more this year. These are the kids that have the options. So of course you're going to see some big names leave. I mean, we talked about this before, but Parrish's running backs coach was here, went back to Ole Miss. It's not surprising he went back there. That's his option, right? And so you're going to see some of these names that you're like, oh, there's no way that guy's leave because they're the ones with more options, better options, right? I mean, that's the reality of it. If we thought they were supposed to be, starters or at least in the 2 deep, and they're not, that means other schools thought they were going to be starters in the 2 deep, and they're thinking, I have a starting caliber player here I can bring in. And we're saying, no, you're 3rd or 4th in the depth chart. Guess what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Yep. Right. And
recruiting is recruiting and player development and player scouting. It's all relevant, right? Everybody sees players differently. Everybody grades them differently. All these grades and all this stuff and projectability. That's all relevant. So I think that as unfortunately that saying, the saying one man's trash is another man's treasure. That happens a lot in sports, period. Not only college football, but just in all sports. So I think that's what you're seeing here, and it's just good point on your part, Vish. It's weird seeing it in this context because you don't really you think back to the old school. And look, I'm a kind of a traditional college football guy, right? I like the old school stuff as well. I like the old school mentality of players. I like the old school mentality of some coaches, maybe not all, right? I think Nick Saban was a little over the top, but that's why he won, right? He figured out a formula to be able to be successful and win, regardless of whether it was good or bad. A lot of players love him for it. A lot of players are better for it, whatever the case is. But times change. Players, as people, change. You got to be able to change and adapt with it. And if you don't, it's right. Kind of that adapt or die mentality. It is what it is, whether it's good or bad. That's what it is, and so you have to be able to adapt, and you have to be able to stay up to date with everything that's going on. If not, you're going to get left behind, and that's what you're seeing a lot too. So,
and I the one thing that does make me a little bit happier about this is that the snake oil salesmen are going to be in for a much rougher time. Like the ones that lie to the kids to get them to sign. The ones that lie to kids to get them to sign, and then now I own your ass, and you're going to go sit on the bench.
Kirby Smart. I mean, look at the Georgia quarterback room from last year. They had 5 really good quarterbacks, and they were promised that they were all going to get playing time. Now, I think 3 of them left.
Yeah,
and he's still going to be the number 1 team in the country. So.
Oh yeah, no, but I'm just saying, right. I was talking to a recruit's mom the other day, not Miami, but another program, and she said that, they sold her son something and something else completely happened. And if you want to play the snake oil, If you want to play
Well-
the snake oil salesman game, you got to be prepared for some blowback, and that's just the way it is now.
Yeah, and I think it's gonna condition how these coaches behave now. They're
Yeah.
gonna have to be more on it. Like if you don't
Yep.
think the guy can play for 3 years, you're better off being honest with them about it and saying, hey,
Yeah,
it's gonna take you a few years to get on the field here. And that way, if they sign, hey, this is probably not gonna hit the portal.
Yeah.
Because he knows what he signed up for. And so, again, it's gonna take time to get there. But
yeah.
I do think in the end, it'll normalize back to we'll probably have more kids staying long because they're going to realize the portals, like Blues call this out, the numbers are the numbers.
Yeah.
And as they get more information, as schools get more information, as NIL brokers get more information, they're going to realize there's too many kids entering the portal, period. And you're going to see some of that pull back a little bit. It's going to take some time, several years to kind of get there. So we're just going to go through the bumps. But now if you lie to the kid to get him to sign out of high school, he'll be gone in a year.
Absolutely.
Yep.
doesn't
And that's
benefit
not a
him
bad
or
thing
it.
for an honest recruit.
Yeah, no, it's good
Yeah.
because it doesn't benefit him or you. And then hopefully you learn your lesson. You realize, all right, let me just be straight, honest with them. This is my plan for you. Your depth right now, like for the next several years. And then eventually you might have a chance to get on the field. And if they sign up for that, they know what they signed up for. You'll lose a lot of kids that way, but what was the point of having them there for a year anyway? Just have them transfer.
Right. It's going to happen. Before we get into some of the players that Miami is looking to bring in, I kind of wanted to mention one guy that I think that might be the biggest, I guess the biggest blow to Miami right now based off of guys that have transferred out. And I only say it because you're still trying to find that guy. And it's Kobe Young, right? Obviously, he had a great spring game with Georgia. He's the talk of the town over at Athens right now. He's obviously going to be a starter for Georgia, which is going to be a top 5, maybe even the number 1 team in the country coming into next year, right? With Heisman candidate at quarterback. That team is always loaded. I mean, a guy like that going to Georgia, and now he's going to be potentially wide receiver 1 or just a starter on that team. I think that's the guy that you look at and you say, shit, like where was this at Miami? But then I catch myself and I take a step back and I say, sometimes people just need a fresh start at a new place.
Lawrence Cager part 2.
Cager, right? Although I think Cager's
No, I'm just saying he went and got a fresh start and did well.
He did well. So I think this is Kobe's shot.
Kobe could eat that league up if he really.
Yeah, he could. His size and strength and everything. I mean, there's one thing he did well, like really, really well, and that's go up and get it, right? If you threw it up to him, he was going to go up and get it. We saw that a lot. We just didn't have someone that could throw it up to him to go get it as consistently as we want. We might have one now, but it's a little too late, right? I think that if Cam Moore commits before Kobe Young thinks about transferring, it might be a different story. He might still be here. So, but look, that's the guy that I think, I don't want to say we'll miss, but that's a guy that I think could have been here and contributed and still been a starting wide receiver. Speaking of wide receivers, though, this is a great opportunity to talk about some of the guys that Miami's looking to bring in now that you're probably going to lose maybe another wide receiver or two, maybe a guy like Michael Redding, something like that. Maybe even though Shamar Kirk had a great spring, he may be looking for another spot. There's still look, I'm not throwing out. I'm throwing out Jacoby George. Some of the other guys are not out of the realm of possibility that they could be looking at another team also. So, some of the guys that we've spoken about at Blue and Vish and DJ a little bit offline is two of the big names that kind of stand out to me right now are Kyle Williams, who obviously played at Washington State with with Cam Ward, who's one of his boys. Just recently entered the transfer portal, I think a day or two ago. And Sam Brown did the same thing, entered the portal like a day or two ago. Of course, Coach Dawson loves him. Coached him at Houston. Big kid, big, strong kid. Had one penalty all last year, and it was because I think he pushed some kid or it was a personal foul. He was trying to block somebody, and the guy got in his face. So aside from that, he's a really solid player. Good, good hands, catches the ball, has a great radius, yada, yada, yada. You can name it. He's a talented guy. Ends up entering the transfer portal. Kyle Williams as well. I think Elijah Badger is another one that Miami is looking at, and maybe a few other names. Blue, any of those guys kind of stand out to you? Sam Brown, Kyle Williams. Who would you want to see here at Miami? And could those guys come in and and start at the U.
Well, the reason why Sam Brown, he's pretty familiar with the system.
Yep.
And I think that he would be a fit. I think all of them would be, but I think Sam Brown's a little familiar with the system. And I just, you know what, you because hindsight is 20/20 on a lot of these guys. Because when we were talking about some of them coming in last year and said, "Oh my gosh," and then all of a sudden they didn't work out. It's just like Carmoni McLean. All these people are talking about him on the internet and this and that. And they said, listen, DeMarcus Bowman, all these guys were can't miss prospects. It's funny, they all come out of Lakeland too. But here's Bowman going on his 4th school, Clemson, Florida, UCF, and now he's going to go to USF. And the thing about McLean is that when he left Lake Gibson and went to Lakeland, there were red flares all over the place. But if you talked about him in a negative way, you were a hater. And I happened to see him, and I think I said on here a few times, and I remember you saying, Jazz, you're not too high on him, are you? And I said, well, it's not that I'm not too high on him. It's just that I see what he is. I mean, he's got talent, but big deal. A lot of people got talent. Right. You don't have that dog in you, and you don't want to play it. And tonight I had Chris Ewald on the show from Chaminade.
He just put out his top 6, I think. He just put out his top 5, top 6.
Yeah, I saw that. But think about this. Look at who he's gone against the last 3 years just in practice. Josiah Trader, Kyle Washington, Jeremiah Smith. And now, he's got Denarius Graham and, a couple of other kids. So that's what I'm saying too. I mean, if you're built, competition kind of scares people, I think. But I like the guy that's going to, be the guy that's told, oh, geez, we got all these guys in front of you. And he's thinking in his mind, yeah, we'll see. I like those type of guys because those are the guys who are going to give you everything and you can get the best out of them. And, it's sort of like I think that Emory Williams is going to be like that. I just think he thinks that, he showed as a freshman what he possibly could do down the road going into Tallahassee and actually, not crap in the bed. He made mistakes, but freshman mistakes. But you figure you watched him in the spring. Cat's got a strong arm. I look at guys like that.
I think he might be the best passer out of the group. And he showed it in that spring game that he might be QB2 when it's all said and done this year. I mean, that's
he probably will be.
I think he looked so.
Yeah, I see Ja'Cory Brown went to UCF for a visit.
Yeah, he's visiting. I believe so. But you mentioned some things, man. I mean, look, Carmoni McLean. Look at the all the hoopla that's going on with him going back and forth with the coaches and talking trash. And you know what? At the end of the day, if you're a Canes fan, you're kind of like, whew, we dodged a bullet there with this guy, right? I mean, talented or not, that's not the kind of culture that you're trying to build. Forget about Mario. That's just not the culture you want at any school.
Anywhere.
And
that's
so,
well, this is what I was talking about earlier, where in a way it's it's player empowerment. It's also responsibility. They're adults and they're treated as it, and he's learning a lot. He's gonna learn a life lesson now.
Right.
You can be as talented as you think you are. You behave like that, no one's gonna want you around. It doesn't matter how talented you are, and he's gonna learn that lesson the hard way now.
It's kind of like probably say kind of like a Willie Williams situation, right? Where he came in #1 player in the country that year, and one reason or the other, he just he learned his lesson and he didn't do much at the next level. But yeah, Pimp Down says that Blue always thought Damari Brown was a better cornerback, anyways. Yeah, and he's showing it. He's showing it. That kid is next level. He's a stud cornerback.
But when I mentioned it, I'll show you all the emails that I got. You lost it, man. You're getting too old. You don't know. And you know what? The day I get too old to evaluate talent is the day I step out of here, because anybody could see, you could see. And I watch Cormoni McLean. These guys, the thing that pisses me off is most of these guys on the Miami side, and they never watched the kid play. They saw him on tape, but I stood 3 and 4 feet away from him and listened and saw him dog stuff. And even in 7-on-7, people were saying all off season, that cat's getting beat every time. Yeah. But no one would listen because everybody thought they knew better than everybody else. And that's why I don't bother with that, because if I can't trust my own opinion after all these years, I'm in trouble. So, and I'm not going to get everything right. No one will get anything right.
Nobody does. Yeah.
But I thought,
if there's someone that I'm going to listen to first and foremost, it's definitely Larry Bluestein. So whoever doesn't, I think is.
But also, like, there's always an element of guesswork and everything we do here.
Oh yeah.
But everything.
But there's a different.
Yeah. I mean, we don't show prep. We just.
That's true. That's true. That's very true.
We're just guessing that we know what we're talking about.
We start telling Jazz the show starts at 8:15 and we can start playing one of these days. But anyway,
when you texted me, I go, "Oh crap." I had totally lost.
I forgot about tonight.
Yeah, we're lucky we know each other's names.
No, but the point I was trying to make, that regardless of whether like the prediction is right or not, because there are prediction merchants that basically take every sides of everything and then say, "Oh, look, I was right," when they're randomly right. There's a difference between an uninformed opinion and an informed opinion, and Blue is the best in terms of having information, doing the hard work to then base his opinion. Doesn't mean it's always going to be right, but the process is right. To this point, a lot of these sides, they don't see any of the kids play. They're just group thinking. They're group thinking their evals. So, whether or not Blue is right all the time, no one is. But at least the work is being put in. It's a proper evaluation done, and sometimes occasionally you miss, but no one's going to put in more work and actually go see the kids play in person to form that opinion as much as he does, and that's why he's the best at it.
So speaking of evaluation, Blue, I got to ask you, man. Number one, right? Don Chaney's over at Louisville, but you had 2 running back. You got one running back that transferred in, Penny Boone from Toledo, who's now entering the transfer portal again. You got Jalen Alderman, who's now who's entering the transfer portal also. 2 really good running backs. Is it because Don Chaney's kicking their ass over there, or is it because, they potentially see an opportunity to go somewhere else, right? Because, I'm
but you know what?
Cash, of course, but because those guys are talented, and I know one is kind of crystal balled at this point to Miami. Alderman looks like he's I know Damian Martinez also is another kid, the number 1 running back in the portal right now at Oregon State, who's crystal ball to Miami as well. So now you're talking about bringing those 2 studs in here to compete with the guys that are here, which is good because we talked about it. Mark Fletcher might not even be ready for the start of the season. You saw what you're going to get at running back with 2 guys, 2 freshman kids, and A.J. Allen, who's still hurt, right? So you got Wheatley Humphrey, and you've got Chris Johnson, both who look like they weigh 150 pounds soaking wet. So you still got to put some muscle on.
Still
Chris
got
Johnson
Lyles that come in. And
you got Jordan Lyles coming in. He's a big kid, right? He's a little more
quick. He can dabble you very fast.
So that's good. But you got to bring in some guys. How do you feel about those guys? Yeah, how do you feel about those guys?
But getting back, before I answer that, getting back what you said about Chaney, whenever all of us had the conversation, there was no doubt that when he was healthy, he was as good as anybody they had. So to me, what he reminds me of is Javaris James, because remember, Javaris was a big back, never got the flash, but he was in the NFL. He was a big back. And the thing about Chaney, think about his athleticism. He's a 7'1" high jumper. I mean, he's strong as heck. He's got a good.
Favorite back. He was my favorite running back here.
I still think that's why he's doing positive things at Louisville. But in the big but here is he's never healthy.
Right.
And throughout his Miami career, he never put 3 games together.
I'll be so pissed if he plays 10 games next year for Louisville.
I'll be so pissed if he wins the Heisman. Look at him.
Yeah. Well, oh man, I'd be so pissed. Anyways, Jalen Alderman and what's his name? Damian Martinez.
Martinez. I like Martinez. Yeah. I think he's a fit to this offense. He quit. He hits the whole quick. But you know what? What's his name? Allen. I still think Allen's a quality back.
Yeah, but he's hurt right now, Blue. Right? He's still hurt.
Who is
the spring game? It's crazy.
No, I know, but that's a quality back.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is it training? What is it that puts these guys on the shelf
I
so
don't know,
much?
man. I've never
He
seen
had
players
injury-
get so hurt.
He
Yeah,
had injury
like now.
problems. I
He did.
remember.
Oh,
honestly,
that's right. You would know. Yeah, you would know.
I remember obviously, and you guys can make a joke covering him at Nebraska, and he had injury problems, from his freshman year kind of onwards. So I think for him, I don't want to call him, a wimp or anything like that, but I think he's an injury-prone player at times, and I think that just might be the way he is. But when he's healthy, as you guys know, he's a very
I
good
agree.
talent.
I think he's a big time back.
Yeah.
And
He
you
is.
and I saw that, Jazz, in that practice over
Yeah,
at
he looked good.
Yeah,
At the
he got
stadium,
through
yeah.
the hole quick, and and he looked
Listen.
like one of those runners.
You're hearing it here. You heard it here first. DJ thinks AJ Allen is soft. Just say. All right, so you heard it here.
Clip said
Clip that. Maybe we'll get some hits on X or Twitter or whatever they call it now.
Yeah,
And then
we got to tag AJ Allen. We got to tag AJ Allen on there.
no, but I remember his freshman year. He had a collarbone injury suffered in September, and he never fully recovered, and that kind of put him on the shelf. So I'm just wondering if injuries are unfortunately something that will follow him throughout his career.
Well,
I hope not, because he's a dynamic back. But
he is good. He's kind of like that one cut guy, and he's off to the races, and he's hard to
Yep.
catch. Mark
he can
Fletcher.
cut so well.
I mean,
Yeah,
Mark
I mean,
Fletcher,
he did
he's-
get injured. Did get injured in an elite way this year, though. So
He did. He
does
did.
everyone remember the play?
He had like the game of life. He hurdled the guy, right?
Yeah, he injured himself jumping over a guy on a touchdown run.
Yep.
Oh,
He
yeah,
really
that's
did.
right. I remember.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna get hurt, that's the way to do it,
You
man.
gotta do it the right way. Yeah, for sure. I mean, Mark Fletcher, obviously the best back here. But he's also got a little bit of an injury bug to him. He's got to kick that also.
Let me tell you something. It's not a little bit of one, and that's crazy. That's why why don't people just come clean and tell the truth? What's wrong with these guys instead of dancing around everything?
I don't know, man. That's why I
No,
think it's important to get guys like Damian Martinez and Alderman in here, because those will be your starting backs, right? Them and maybe AJ Allen. Those three will compete for the starting job. Martinez probably. I mean, he's a stud, right? The kid is really good at Oregon State. Alderman
Yeah.
pretty good at Louisville too. He's a good back, The good thing about Alderman, I like Martinez, right? I'm with you on that, Blue. The good thing about Alderman is I don't think he has that wear and tear, right? I think you obviously saw. Well, I forgot his last name now. The kid from Louisville last year, that was pretty decent. He's the guy there with Don Chaney now. So that combination is pretty set there as long as they stay healthy. But Alderman is a kid that can come in and produce right away. Damian Martinez as well. Penny Boone I know he was he was a talk with Miami as well for a little bit before he committed to Louisville. So there's some names out there that could potentially make a difference in that room. And quite frankly, we need the bodies there too, because now we're low on bodies with 3 transfers, right? And all 3 were guys that were expected to come in and get significant playing time here. So it's something that you have to look at. I think some of the other names that you probably have to keep your eye on, Diani Hill is the cornerback from Marshall Blue. A kid that obviously our new cornerbacks coach is very familiar with, and Chevis Jackson is very familiar with Diani Hill. He coached him at Marshall. He entered the transfer portal. He's a potential transfer portal kid from Miami. You might look at some other guys. I know that what's his name, Grady Vance, is in the transfer portal from Florida State. I know there's some other teams that are looking at him also. But he's a good prospect. I know Miami was on his radar also. So you've got some names out there. Who's the guy that we haven't mentioned yet, Blue, that you might know of that's in the transfer portal that you can say Miami might should go after this guy, or is going after? We don't even.
Yeah, I think you pretty much nailed the guys that I think that they're making a priority.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to think who else would be out there. I mean, that's
what about a defensive tackle now that you lost Harrison Hunt? Is there somebody out there that maybe Miami's still looking at, or
there were 2 guys in there, but the kid from USC and then the kid from and he's gone already. So yeah.
Romello Height committed to Georgia Tech. We all thought he was going to
I saw that.
Yeah, so I still
Wow.
think Miami goes and gets 3 or 4, maybe 4 or 5 more guys in the portal.
Yeah, I'm sure they're going to get 4 or 5 more guys.
Oh, what about the kid? I think they're looking at the kid from USC, the center, another offensive.
Not a bad player at all.
Yeah. So although
he came out, I didn't know he came out. He came out.
I believe he did. I know Carpenter looked really good in spring, so that's good because he's developing. He's kind of starting to understand. Look, he came from playing in a conference with Indiana where he wasn't facing these guys he's going to face in the ACC. So I think it took him a little time to kind of adjust to that level, and I think he's doing a good job now. Right? He still has his deficiencies per se, but I still think he's not going to be Matt Lee, but he's going to be serviceable. No. And you need a guy that can be serviceable, and if he gets his hands on you, he's going to hold you down. He's going to be able to block you. So that's a good thing. I don't want him holding, but I want him to make sure if he puts his hand on you, you're not going to get to the quarterback.
But you look back in the day when Miami was successful, and you'd lose one guy like Casey Jones, and then you come up with a Ty Wise, and then it kept going and going. You see, and that's where a lot of these schools. That's why Georgia had 26 guys drafted in 2 years. Because you build up to that point where you have all that talent. And that's why in Alabama could lose a Javion Cohen, not really, miss a beat up front. So, and he was everything here. So, yeah, like you said, one man's trash is another man's treasure. So,
well, so speaking of Javion Cohen, I don't know if he was trash, but he was pretty damn good. But speaking of Javion Cohen, the draft is this weekend, and guys like Javion Cohen, Matt Lee, James Williams, Cam Kitchens. I'm probably missing a couple other guys. James Williams. I mentioned him. Who am I missing? I'm missing a couple of other guys, but
what's his name? Nose tackle Leonard Taylor.
Oh, Leonard Taylor. That's right, Leonard Taylor. And I can't remember, but I know there's one or two more. Ryan Rigoni. No, I'm just kidding. Who? Okay, how about this? We'll play this game before we get out of here because we got to go. Vish, who do you think gets drafted first? Who's the first guy? Who's the first Miami Hurricane to get drafted?
Leonard Taylor.
Ooh, wow. Okay. What round? What round do you think Leonard Taylor goes in?
2?
Yeah, second probably.
Second round. Wow. He'd be jumping up the charts. That's good. Hey, his athletic ability, his projectability is there. So if he can sway some people, all you need is one team to fall in love with you. That's it. DJ, who's the guy? Who do you think gets drafted first?
Vish kind of took mine here, but Taylor, and I think honestly probably late third round. I'm guessing. I mean, with his like you mentioned, his athletic ability, teams are looking for players that can fill holes quickly, and not only just be muscle up front, but also be able to quickly fill gaps and quickly move because it's an offensive game now. Taylor's profile fits very well for the NFL. I think he's going to go probably late third round.
What about you, Blue? Who do you think?
Matt Lee, third round early.
Ooh, I'll tell you what, you didn't take my guy, but
because look at the need. Look at the need for a center.
I think he should be the first Hurricane getting drafted.
I agree with you. But I didn't want to go out
even as high as a second rounder.
Kill me again.
Even as high as second round because he's that good of a center.
I agree. I won't be surprised.
But I think someone's going to fall in love with James Williams and draft him first. I think someone's going to fall in love with his size, his speed, and say this guy can play linebacker for me, or he could be an edge guy. Eventually, I can develop him, and they're going to draft him. That's who I think. Although
the famous last words, I can develop that guy.
Yep, someone's gonna do it, right? Someone's gonna say, "I love this guy. Go get him," and he's gonna end up,
I'm not gonna disagree.
That's what I think. But anybody's look, all those four guys: Cam Kitchens, James Williams, Javion Cohen, Matt Lee. I have 5 guys, and Leonard Taylor. All good players. I think they could have a nice career in the NFL.
And Javion Cohen will get in there too because of the size and maybe a 5th rounder type guy or something.
Right. And I think he'll make a team. I think Matt Lee will do the same. I think Matt Lee will be starting in the NFL in the next couple of years. I think so. He's that good. So,
definitely. He's a leader. He's fearless. He's strong. He's quick. Man,
It's crazy.
he came on here and was a captain right
Yep.
away.
Right away, and
That's tough to do.
he was a good
Russell
player,
Wilson face, yeah.
hell of a player. So you miss guys like those, right? I wish if he would have stayed another year. I'll tell you that's the best offensive line in the country.
I'll tell you.
So, but anyways, hey, we'll see what happens.
We'll recap it next week.
We definitely will. I know we'll probably have some more transfer portal news for you next week. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at 6 Rings Canes. Subscribe to the 5 Reasons Canes Network on YouTube, the 5 Reasons Canes podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever it is that you get your podcast. If you don't want to see our ugly mugs, you can always listen to our beautiful voices instead. Make sure you check us out. Subscribe, click the like button on YouTube on our 5 Reasons Canes Network. And make sure you keep it locked here. We also have an Instagram, but I'm so delayed with that thing. It's not even funny.
I can help you with that too, because I think I have control of the account.
Yeah, I think DJ's gonna have to help with that one. Anyways, we've got some shows this week. We've got Formula One. We've got buckets. I'm sure.
In Formula One, you got the race coming up here in a couple weeks.
Yeah, in
a couple weeks. Yeah, we got Miami here in a couple weeks.
4th, 5th.
Yeah, it's that weekend. Yeah.
But honestly, I think the biggest news in Miami Hurricane sports this week is the Cavender twins are back, baby.
Yeah, they are.
This will have all that.
That pegged my meter, so that.
Oh man. Anyway,
the old man still got it, man.
I'm sure. I bet you do. Yeah, man. Vish is like, I can't do this anymore with you guys.
Yeah, dude.
Trying to end the show now, Bish.
Well,
Fish can cuss up a storm, but don't mention porn.
porn. They're not.
I mean,
they may be soon.
You never know, man. Oh, geez. Anyways, make sure you keep it locked here on the 5 Reasons.
No, we will. I believe we're working on scheduling this, but I think we're going to be doing buckets live from All Canes on Friday. So,
nice.
Well, that's awesome.
So check that out. I think
we're gonna go sabotage that thing. That's for sure.
Stay tuned for more on that. And then I think that might be, I don't know. We're working on scheduling buckets this week. A little complicated, but Jazz, we forgot to mention one show.
Oh yeah, Canes. Did I really forget though?
We gotta win, damn it!
Oh God, Canes on deck will be this week also.
Yeah, Tuesday after Formula One. Yeah, Mercy rule, man. After all that, after all that,
10 in a row.
Yeah, it was 10 ATC games in a row that a rudder rolled in the 11th.
Jesus Christ, unbelievable.
That is.
Anyways,
Anyway. Danny's gonna be at Cheers hosting the Boston College party.
Nice. Congratulations, Danny.
Cheers is just a tourist trap now, and it makes me so mad.
I can imagine.
I can imagine.
I'll tell you what, Boston is one of the most underrated food cities in the country.
The North End? Ooh.
Especially Italian food.
Yep, the North End.
Yeah, they do.
Danny, the next when I go up there, man.
You gotta let me know. You gotta let me know, yeah.
Guess who my tour guide's gonna be?
Come see the Red Sox.
Yeah, hey, listen, not so bad so far. Not so bad so far.
Dude.
All right. Not so bad so far. What's his face is doing really good. He's got the best ERA in the NFL.
Yeah, they're doing good.
Baseball right now. Got Tanner Houck with 10 Ks the other day, looking like a stud. Got some young players that can play. So I'm excited for their future. Maybe not this year, but I'm excited for
I
their
still
future.
hate John Henry. John Henry's not off the hook in my opinion, but
here's my Judge picture when he was in minor leagues.
Wow, look at that guy. Fresno State's finest.
Here's somebody for you, like
This
Rafael
is
Palmeiro. And
this is the best part of the show right here. Mississippi State, man. If you think about it, Rafael Palmeiro played for Mississippi State.
And they had Jeff Brantley too, pitching.
Yeah, and
those are three big leaguers.
And
they posed the question: was Ken Griffey the best draft pick ever?
The kid, baby.
That's awesome.
That's my favorite player.
Let me tell you something. This is 3 of a million things that I've been going through looking for a couple of things because someone wants to buy them. So
honestly, we should just have a show of like blues museum.
And you would just I do. I need to get it auctioned off before I ain't with us anymore.
How much?
My wife will give everything away.
Oh man, how much? Wait, how much are you selling that Griffey for? That Griffey paper.
I'll give it to you when I see you.
That's cool, man. I love.
It's a 1990.
That's
34 years old.
Best swing in baseball ever, right?
I wasn't even born
There
yet.
it is. There it is.
Oh, he was a
I love that
beast.
guy.
Well,
Ken
a
Griffey,
fun
Ken.
story on that Mississippi State team. They were favored to win the College World Series, but a plucky little school from Coral Gables, Florida, knocked them out and won the championship.
Woo!
That's what
Okay.
happened to that Mississippi State team.
You know those guys? Yeah, buddy. What year was that? 80? What? 80? No.
That
Yeah,
that was 85, I
80
believe.
I was gonna say 87, but it's got to be 85.
Yeah, I think it was 85. That was the 85 championship.
Yeah,
There's a whole
85.
there's a whole
Was 80.
documentary on it.
85.
Not on us. We just
I
showed
used
what
to
they
watch
had to play the
Rock
villain.
Sparrow and Miami Jackson.
I love it. I love it.
There's
All right,
a
guys.
documentary on that Mississippi State team, and we're the villain at the end of it that comes in and knocks them out.
Not surprised. Not surprised that we're the villains. I mean,
That's all good. That's our
Miami
shit
was
state.
preseason 15.
Well,
we play that card really well. You know what? The hell?
postseason number 1. So
Let me see that shirt,
Challenge.
Vish. Let me see that. Let me see that. What you
It's
got
just,
on there?
it's just
I like
That's
it.
cool.
Though. It's nice. Yeah, I like the top part with the neck and everything. It's cool. Anyways, all right, we're out of here. We'll see you guys later.
All right. We'll see you next week.
See you guys.
The 6 Rig Kane Show. Yeah. The 6 Rig Kane Show. Yeah. The 6 Rings Kane Show. You know.